News in the last hour, Duncan Jones linking up with Wales. I'm sure you want to wish him well.
Yeah, definitely. We just done it this morning, actually, just prior to it going out publicly. Duncan was keen to let everyone in the building know first, so they hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So, look, we're delighted. Another Osprey, getting further honours, obviously in the coaching world this time, not the playing world. But one of the things the Ospreys done over the years is promote players in particular. Well, the national coach now was once here, so the region's got a big history in, moving people on, taking them to the next level and developing them. And this is just another step in Duncan's journey, and, great opportunity for him to go away, coach at international level against, world-class opposition, and bring those learnings back into our environment, which can only be good for us and the players.
Yeah, absolutely. Not too disruptive as well, with obviously no games in November, or only one fixture during that period.
Yeah, just the one for us around the Edinburgh match towards the end of November, beginning December. So we've got that one game that Dunk won't be available for. Wales are playing South Africa on that same weekend. So, we'll have an internal plan there around covering that off for Duncan. Obviously, he's got lots of little responsibilities in and around the environment, around the defensive line out, the scrum, and looks at our contact area as well. So, we've just got to make sure we pick that up between the coaching group that we've got, but also, linking up with our academy probably as well, just bringing some of the boys in from there as well to get some experience as well, so that everybody benefits from the opportunities.
Good stuff. Glasgow this weekend. You got a win, obviously, against Zebra last weekend, and I suppose it's about building and even improving on that performance.
Yeah, it is. Obviously, it's a 5-game block, and we started ours in South Africa, as everybody knows, and no more difficult place to go for your first couple of rounds. But I thought the way we've come back from South Africa, settled back into the Zebra week, and then the performance that we got in the Zebra game was a really good one. I think it was loads of positives, loads of things that we did better than we did in South Africa, and also, a lot of our, what we did well in South Africa on show as well. So, yeah, really pleased with that performance. But of course, that's gone now. We've got a big task. They're champs 2 years ago. So, went out to the Highveld and knocked the Bulls off on their own patch. So, been in semi-finals for many seasons as well. So, it's a really top-class team coming, well coached by Franco and his team. And we're going to have to be at our absolute best to get a result that can be proud of.
I enjoyed the atmosphere last weekend at the Brewery Field. How much of a fortress can it be this season? Because teams might not like coming there. It's a different kind of environment for many teams.
Yeah, look, I think I'd probably try to look at it through more of a lens of us enjoying being there rather than the opposition not enjoying going there. I think if we enjoy going there because the atmosphere and the crowd, get us up on our toes and help us, stay in games and, get behind us when we're on the try line, etc. I think I'd like to use it as a motivation for us rather than a demotivator for the opposition, because the pitch is in really good condition, touch wood, at the moment. And, as you said, the atmosphere is good. And I think it's just a good place to come and watch rugby. Exeter have come there, Zebra came there last weekend. And every other coach I've spoken to, Sale last season, the Stormers coaches, they actually really enjoyed playing at the Brewery. It's like old school. It's an old school ground, as they say, but it's still, a great place to play.
Glasgow coming down, obviously, off the back of a pretty impressive win. What have you made of them? How much of a challenge, and where can you go at them?
Yeah, well, they're an impressive team, aren't they? They are an all-court team. They can play the game multiple ways. They do play it multiple ways. And I think that, credit to them for that. They've got a good blend of set piece dominance when they need it. They've got the ability to play wider through their set piece, but also in their phase play, and actually got a pretty effective kicking game as well, which people perhaps don't respect enough as well. So we know we've had to prepare, as best we can, really. And it's always a challenge when you go against a team that's finished in the top 4 for a number of years. You have to be at your very, very best. And we've always had some tough battles against them, and I don't expect anything different this week.
It was good to see Jack Morgan running around before the Zebra game. Is he back in the mix yet?
Yeah, no, he and a few of the others are back out there today, and our non-23 were looking pretty powerful around their game this weekend. There was Jack Morgan running around in there and Ryan Smith and Vardy Boshoff been running around. So that those boys they've been good this week, and they've added to the energy of the group. And yeah, they're looking in good shape at the moment, which is brilliant for the squad in particular.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of Jack, is he targeting a return maybe next week then?
Yeah, he's targeting a quick return. Obviously, when our selection goes out, we'll have more of an indication of what that looks like. And but we're hoping that our fans will be seeing Jack pretty soon.
Is it a similar story then with Vardy and Ryan in terms of hoping to see them this block?
We're hoping, yeah, everything's crossed it, and they're tracking pretty well. So hopefully, won't see them in the not too distant. Well, we will see them in the not too distant future. Beg your pardon, which will be great. They've already, they've added hugely in training already, and we know that when we get them out there as well, they'll add to our on-field game performances.
And I think you touched upon it before the season. I guess with Jack, it's a case of not protecting him from himself, but trying to hold him back a little bit because he'll be chomping at the bit to come back. He reported back early, didn't he, from the Lions, and he'll want to get out there.
Yeah, he just loves being around the players. The playing group, well, the whole group's tight. The management group, the off-field staff, the physios, S&C, like logistical guys. The group's tight. Guys really enjoy each other's company. I think going away to South Africa rounds 1 and 2 has helped that. Having getting away with each other, spending time with each other on field and off field is always a good thing. Brings you closer together. So, I think he enjoys his time when he goes away with the Lions or when it was with Wales. But there's no place like home, is there? And he was just desperate to get back in and around the group and enjoying our team meetings and training with the lads. So yeah, everybody's benefited from Jack being back around it.
Where are you at in terms of other injuries? What was Kieran Hardy's situation after last weekend?
Kieran took a pretty nasty ding to the ribs, so he was pretty sore over the weekend, and he's been back around it on the pitch this week. So we'll see where he's at over the next couple of weeks, which will be good. It doesn't seem like it's going to be a long-term injury, and we've got some niggles around our squad because of the nature of our squads and the depth of them, and some long-term injured from the back of last season. Some of our boys have had to go pretty deep in pre-season and clocked a few miles up, and obviously you add in then 3 very physical games at the start of the season. As you can imagine, it takes its toll on a small squad. So and we haven't rotated selection too much. We have tried to protect some of our front 5 guys around some of our selections. We put our 2 heavier locks on the bench last week because we wanted to finish the game with a bit more power and a bit more size, because we probably felt that's something we missed in the opening couple of rounds in terms of finishing games. So we thought that worked quite well for us in terms of mixing that up, and we're going to try and do the same around a couple of areas of our team over the next couple of weeks as well. We want to try and make sure that we can start the games well, but also have an eye on finishing the games as well, and making sure we don't burn too many players out, because some are going away to play international rugby. So we need to make sure that they're going in there, in good condition as well.
You mentioned the performances at the start of the season. Obviously, attack has been very pleasing, scoring 40 points in Pretoria. Obviously some of the tries you scored, Morgan's try last weekend. How has that developed in the last year, the attacking game?
Well, I think it's like anything. You probably try to shine a light on it. Like from my time working with Toby, I think Toby done an awful lot of things well at the region as the coach, and you can see that the set piece, that's been front of house for a number of years, and I think it's always been that front of house with the Ospreys. But Toby certainly valued that side of the game, and as somebody coming in as a head coach after him, you've got a good platform to work from, and I definitely try to evolve our game. But obviously the art is never to lose what you once were. We still value those areas massively. We know they're so important to have an attacking game, is to make sure that you have a great set piece and a good kicking game to complement that. And I think probably I've come from an attack role in the past. I've been an attack coach for a number of years. The majority of my coaching career actually gone into defence the last 5 or 6 years. And I think the game has become more attack-minded, around the amount of points that are scored now internationally, domestically. The laws of the game now allow for a faster game, so you have to have a faster game in place. And the facts are you've got to score over 3 tries a game to win. Those are the facts of the league. So you've got to be able to score those tries in a number of different ways. And I think probably what we have done in a short space of time is we've increased the variety of how we score. We still scored the most more tries last year, is my understanding, in the league. But also we had, the most from scrum launches, for example, and I think we were a threat in phase play as well. So, I think there's been a nice progression from the players. I think the players are enjoying that. But also they definitely want to still be proud of, the aggressive set piece, the maul, the scrum, and the defensive side of that as well. I think as much as we did concede 50 in the Bulls game, I thought there was some very good defense in that game for large periods. There was probably a couple of moments where discipline cost us heavily. We let you leave the Bulls in there 12 times, 13 times, they're going to score, 75% of those opportunities, which they did. So, but I thought the defensive performance in the Stormers to keep them to 3 tries and against Zebra to nil them, I think our defence has really come through in the last 2 performances in particular and been more consistent.
I guess in terms of those, the nuts and bolts, Duncan being called into Wales, that's testament to what the Ospreys are doing, isn't it?
Yeah, it should be. If you're looking at our scrum over the last, number of years, I suppose, you'd say it was one of the best out there. So you've got to look at the guy coaching it, how he integrates with the players, and you look at the players that play for Wales, the Dewi Lakes, the Gareth Thomases, Garen Phillips has been around it on the summer tour. Ben Warren's been around training squads. The locks that we've had, over the years in the Wales setup, then obviously Duncan's, played his a big part in those guys' development and bringing them through the academy when he worked there. So, yeah, it's hopefully good reward for the players, performances to help the coach get recognised, but also the coach, helping players improve as well. So I think it's just a really good demonstration of what a good regional team looks like, how the coach and the player in hand work together, and then the coach is getting a little bit of reward this time, which is nice for him.
But what is it about Duncan that makes him such a good coach in that area? Because I've spoken, we'll never understand the front row, and I've spoken to people, and some say it's very simple, and other people compare it to fighter pilots. It depends who you speak to, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, and you can probably write what I know about scrummaging on the back of a stamp. So, but what I would say, as somebody that stood in a back line looking at the scrum while it was taking part, I probably had the best view of it for 10 years of my career. A lot of it's mindset. A lot of it is mindset. And what I mean by that is you've got to really love it. If you want to be good technically or tactically in there, you've got to love being in there for a start. And I think to ask what Duncan's strength is, he's very passionate about it. So you haven't got a choice about your mindset. Your mindset's the price of entry. And I think when you have that, then I think it becomes quite infectious, doesn't it, around how you grow people, how you sort of become a bit of a cult, if you like, don't you? People just want to be associated with it, the energy about it, and then the tactical and the technical bit. Obviously, he adds those layers in because he's got 50-odd tests. I might be doing him a disservice there, but I think he's got 50-plus tests in the loose head position in the front row, which if you needed any a sort of clarity around the level of the person coaching you, well, that should say it all, and he does, not every great player can switch to coaching, but he's certainly done a good job of it in his area.
I think we've got Ross up next, Ross Morati. Obviously a hugely experienced player, but from your perspective, what has he brought to your group over the last few months and start of this season?
Yeah, one thing we were just talking around in the office the other day, actually, what is it that we've seen from Ross really in the environment? And what I've seen is he really cares. Like, he really cares about how we do things. He cares about the levels of performance. He knows that he's not going to get everything right himself and doesn't get everything right himself. But he's got a thirst all the time to get better. And I think that's what I like about him. And he asks tough questions sometimes, sometimes unpopular questions, why are we doing this? And it's something we've always done, but well, why are we doing that? I see this, and he creates great debate, and actually good for people to think, okay, yeah, I was thinking that. And I'm glad somebody asked that question, and he's doing it because he's coming from a place of care. He wants to know why. He wants to know if there's a better way of doing something. But what I would say is what he has done is he's actually bought into the way we do things as well, mine. So he's actually turned around and gone, okay, yeah, there's more than one way to do it, and I'm prepared to do it your way. If that's the way we do it, I'll buy into it. So I think that's been really good. I think that's been the thing that's hit me. There was never any question around his ability. When Ross Moriarty's fit, And he's been unlucky with some nasty injuries over the years, not niggly injuries, nasty ones, you know, and that's because of the way he plays the game. He's a physical player. He plays in a physical position. He commits to that position. And, you know, Sam Warburton had an horrendous injury list as well. And if you look how that guy played the game, it's synonymous, isn't it? You if you're a physical person, you often get bumps. And, you know, I think he's been, touch wood, he's been really good for us, good for the young players as well. And he's really added to our environment in lots of different ways.
One of those young players alongside him in the back row is Morgan Morse. I remember a couple of years ago, because you had him at Wales under 20s, had him now at the Ospreys, and you talked a couple of years ago, if I remember rightly, about his obvious, prodigious natural athletic ability, but it was a question of, you know, like a lot of youngsters, honing the rough edges. So where is he now in terms of his development?
Yeah, he's still honing those edges, isn't he? He was probably 18/19 when we had that discussion, and now he's 20 going on 21. So he's still very, very young in his rugby years. He's actually played an awful lot of URC rugby, if you think around his age and the position he plays. It's probably only the front rows, maybe the second rows, that it's harder to play at a young age, if that makes sense, because of your physical maturation. I think it's probably a bit more technical and tactical in the back row, reading the game, you know, the dark arts of, you know, 1,000 rucks, and you know, how do you hide a lot of things from the referee? How do you cut the shortest route to the clean out? How do you get the shortest route to the defensive breakdown? It's like you have to play a lot of rugby to learn those things, and I think he's constantly learning those things all the time. And obviously playing around with Jack and around Morgan Morris and these guys, they're doing a great job around supporting him in that development, because we're basically trying to speed the whole thing up, aren't we? Like, let's try not to wait till he's 25 before we go, oh, he's really rugby smart, you know. There's no reason why he can't do that at a young age, and he's working really hard at it. But he's got a ways to go in lots of areas, you know. Anybody that watches the game can see the obvious talent. He does the hard things and makes them look easy. But it's just trying to get some consistency in his all-round game at the moment. And, you know, fair play to Morse. I love working with him. He's got an unbelievable mindset. He just wants to get better all the time. But you haven't got a time machine as a player or a coach. You have to just let it, you have to do the work, but it just has to come naturally. And at some point, all the bits will just fall into place. And, you know, you'll never remember the things that you couldn't do. You just think, oh, I've always done this. It's just what I do. So yeah, he's coming along nicely, and we're looking forward to keeping him at the region for a long time, hopefully. And he'll be running out in his mid-20s, and we'll be looking at the player going, wow, look how much he's developed and grown, and look how much of a rounded player he is now.
Yeah. Lastly, from me, that the try he finished off last week, I think it was something like 20 pair of hands, offloads, different lines, phases. Was that as close to the Mark Jones template as we're ever going to see in terms of attacking rugby?
Look, I'm very lucky here. Like, I'm working, you know, obviously I'm trying to set the template as you put it. But I need people like Richard Fussell to support that and drive it, you know, help out with the skill set. And Fuss has done a really good job around, you know, embracing some of the new ideas that I'm trying to introduce to the group. And hopefully I'm giving him the space as well to coach in his own way as well. So I think that's really important. And obviously I need the forwards coaches to have an open mind around the type of ball and how many times we drive compared to going off the top or breaking out from the mauls, etc. So you need your staff to be on board with it. But I would say that, you know, yeah, I'd like the game to be played like what you saw in that particular moment. I believe that's why people enjoy playing the game. When you start playing on a Sunday morning as a youngster, it's because you want to usually dive over and score a try. And everybody touching the ball, enjoying it, all smiling together. That's how you start off, isn't it? And I think young players now, along with elder players, they want to play the game in its purest form. And I think moving the ball to space at speed, offloading, beating people one-on-one, I think that's what gets people off their seats. But also what I think is good here is we also understand that you only get to do that for 50% of the time. The other 50%, you've got to stick your head where it hurts. You've got to tackle people. You've got to drive people backwards, chase back, and make try-scoring tackles. And I think what we've got here is a group that respect both sides of the ball. They see the value in both, which is probably the most important thing. If you're asking me what the template is, that's what the template is. It's doing it both sides.